Hello, my name is Sarah Donegan, and I'm here today to share with you my math toolbox. These are everyday items that can be used to assist you in helping a student with their math. It doesn't matter if you're in a classroom, a homeschool parent, or just trying to get through that daily homework. These are items you can adjust and use to however fits your purpose. So let's dig in. The first thing I want to talk about is our thankful jar. This is a great tool. This really would be a very efficient for the classroom. So at the beginning, 1 month before Thanksgiving break, set with the class and decide that we are going to add a something we are thankful into our jar every day. Now, it's going to be at the student's free will, so we're going to have to guess or estimate how many things we're going to have thankful before we go on break for Thanksgiving. If every student added one per day, do the math. Then I'd also add sticky notes that they're going to write this on, have different colors. And how many do you think, based on knowing your classmates, are going to all use pink or blue or so forth? So a lot of fun ways to use math on this, and then before you go on break, dump it all out, count it out, sort it out, and group it up and see if you were correct. So hopefully they'll learn some applicable math, as well as a reminder we need to be thankful. Two other items I think can be applied to math, and this is something that often gets neglected, is the addressing of math anxiety. It is truly a real thing, and when a student is frustrated or feeling that hyperness, it's hard for the brain to think. So provide some tools for them that can help calm them down. This is just silly putty, and it provides just a wonderful tactile tool that they can just keep in their hand quietly to help calm them down, to help them realize they can do this. The other anxiety thing I love is kinetic sand. I do like keeping it in a bag because it can be messy, but it is amazingly addictive to play with, and just gives them something to do with their hands to just relax, breathe. You got this, because God can help you even in math. So those are some key things we want to provide for our students, no matter which area they're in. Now let's talk about some games, because that's the best with math. Here's a favorite, is headbands. We all know this, but here's it with a math twist. So the student is going to wear the headband, and you're going to put your math, whatever skill you are working on 3x5 cards, and put it on the headband. The student wearing it then has to guess what's on their card, and the student has to answer questions that the student asks. So this might be example of the student could say 11. So the student wearing it could say, well, is it 6 plus 5, or just, you get the idea. So it doesn't matter. It could be multiplication, division, primes, factors, whatever you're trying to study. Or you could do it the opposite. You could give them the answer, and the person has to say, oh, it's, such and such, 10 plus 3, and they would have to guess 13. You could even do it with smaller kids they just having to recognize their number. Is it before 20? Is it after 5? So is it odd or even? So this is a fun way to practice those games, especially with a group. The other game I love is a classic. You know it, Uno. And there's 1,000 rules to adapt to this game. Well, to make it math, I would say they have to add or subtract, depending on, again, or multiply, whatever skill you want to practice. So if I play this, my 1 on the 3, I'd have to say, well, 3 plus 1 is 4. Or maybe I want to do partners of 10, and every time I play, and I would say it doesn't even matter what colors it matches, but if I had a partners of 10, I can play it, and everyone has to switch hands. Or you could say every time a prime number or a factor of a certain number, we have to switch to your right, switch to your left, however you wish to do it. Or odd for the younger kids, practice that odd and even numbers. So just again, you could never stop with coming up with different ways to play Uno with math. And that's where every toolbox should also have a box of cards, because again, it's unlimited. So playing war, playing things like blackjack, where the kids have to add up or multiply up, or who has the bigger number. Adding, almost same thing as Uno. You can add. Everyone should have a deck of cards. So those are fun games. Also, there's just some games you can buy that are particularly set up for math. This is one of my favorites, Clumsy Thief. It is a game that practices partners of 10. So you can swipe cards from your opponent if it adds to one of your cards that are 10, and watch out for the raccoon, because he steals everything. So that is a fun game as well. As well with games, there's some other things that we need to make sure we have in our classroom or in our home for that homeschool or homework, and that is dice. Dice provide number recognition, pattern, but don't just grab the ones out of Monopoly. Get some varieties. These are from the dollar store. They're foam, and I even have some larger ones that we use outside that came in an outside set. That, again, we want to get our students outside as much as possible, so we take them outside and play with them as well. So use different dice and know that they come in different. Here's a 9-sided dice and 10-sided. Again, you can use these in multiple ways. Multiply, throw the dice, get random numbers, multiply them, divide them, add them, subtract them, so forth. There's unlimited what you can do with a pair of dice. The other thing I love is these little craft sticks. Now, they have much bigger ones, but these are just little small ones I like. They're kind of like matchsticks size without the chemicals on the end. So you can count these. You can put them in 10 frames. You can, do them in order. You can even build something. So how many would we have to build to make a bridge sturdy enough for a little Matchbox car to go over? So adding that extra component of kinesthetic, I want them touching everything. And here's another great counter. These are those little pearl beads, and the students can count them. But the great thing about these, if you put them on the little trays, you can then iron them, and it's something they can keep. The other thing I like about these is that we don't always relate to math, is they have little patterns that the students have to match the pattern, and then they can actually build something kind of fun. And that is just such a good skill to be able to copy those patterns, especially our students with learning struggles. That takes a lot of little eye-hand coordination to get these just right. So that is another fun thing. I also like to put these in a little container for, again, our math anxiety. This is so soothing just to play with these, and so don't ever underestimate the power of that as well. One other thing we want to talk about in the classroom is that we see this ball and we throw the ball, basketball, counting back and forth. I think that's wonderful. Again, our things with our students with builds up eye-hand coordination, but I want to say let's use this with caution. What I've also seen is teachers will put this two people together, and if you have a student that really can't catch and throw very well, then then they have math anxiety. So now the anxiety, I have to think about catching. This is a great thing if the teacher or the parent must be willing to do this. I'm very, very cautious about putting students together to throw and catch a ball unless they are very confident in catching that ball. If not, you're creating a barrier for your student, and we don't want to do that. But these are, if you do it with the teacher, there's a great activity to build up that eye coordination so that they can get to the point they can do it with another student. A timer. Every classroom should have a couple of these. They come in, and these even at home. We use them, brush your teeth. You have this long to clean, spend this much time working in your room. So these are multi-uses. They have timers. They're not just minute timers. They have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But I like this over the timer over the phone because, again, we have a visual, and it's also going to help. Our students need to develop a sense of time. What does 5 minutes really feel like? So I love the visual of sand timers. The other thing every classroom or home should have is buzzers. These are great for math. If you have equally matched students that you can put together for a math competition, and whoever rings the bell first, that's great. And then have them running through. Just make sure you equally match the students. The other thing is you could just even have it as, especially our ADHD students that need that instant gratification constantly. Every time I finish a problem, I get to ring that buzzer or bell to just build up that just fun. And then I like little trophies for the classroom. Of course, you can do this as homework too, and then once you build up, every time they get so many trophies, that's a treat. We get a special trip to the library. So that could be how you use that at home. But this, set it on the desk. And as we all know, there's too much participation trophies given out, so make sure it's for something meaningful and not just the person that's the fastest. So, hey, I saw you loan that pencil to your classmate. That was very kind. And so you get the trophy on your desk for a little bit. Or you really persevered. You did not give up even though it's hard. You get the trophy. And then also don't forget the person. We can't ignore the person. Hey, you did that really fast. You get the trophy. So that everybody gets equal time. At-home project, the good old measuring cup, and my favorite, Braxa brownie mix. So assign the students to make some brownies. They have to follow the directions. They have to use the math and measuring, and don't forget to teach them this. Side note, if you're a teacher, do not ask them to bring a brownie to you. This has gone wrong so many ways, and you would have to eat it. And yeah, just trust me on that one. All right. Then I want to talk about another toy, and that's the light bright. This is, if you're at home, your student may have one of these in the closet. This can be used for sequencing what comes next. This particular project was, can you build a shape? So they might, again, have to follow a pattern that you put out for them. Or they can use it to put 2 over here and then 3 and then add them so they can be as a counter as well, or grouping exercise. So a lot of fun things with the light bright. The other thing I love is adding variety to what they're writing on. Too many times we're just doing pencil and paper, and they need more than that. Giving them that variety, especially if math is a struggle, is going to help them. So many times traditionally the paper is 20, 30 problems on a page, and for most students that's just too overwhelming. So if you'll take the problem one by one and put it in bite size for them, they will accomplish it without the frustration and getting so overwhelmed. So I love providing different writing materials. One of my favorites, and I'm realizing I'm saying my favorites a lot, it's hard to pick just one, is cornmeal. And again, it could be satisfying to play with, but a little on the messy side for just that. But I like cornmeal over like flour because it has more of a texture to it. And so they can write and practice their math problems in the cornmeal. You could use a bigger cookie tray, anything like that. Also, it's sugar. It has the consistency of sugar, but then you don't have to worry about the kids. They're not going to eat this. And it's much cheaper than the therapy sand that they sell for the classroom. And again, that's something I love for writing and spelling as well, not just math. Use, again, things that kids already have. These are really popular, those LCD boards. So write out the problem on that and let them finish it there. You can always take a picture of something if it needs to be turned into a teacher, and they will accept that and show that they did do the work. Maybe just just because it wasn't on paper. This is another fun new toy that kids have is the light box. And of course the light's not going to show on this video, but the neat thing about this is that you can actually put a paper in it. So if you are working on that worksheet, you can put it right in there, and the students can still do the work, but they don't have they get that fun feel, and then of course the light coming out at them. So that's just again another way to mix it up a little bit. The other thing, don't forget, is get our kids outside as much as possible. So don't forget the good old sidewalk chalk. I've seen older kids willing to do this just to get out of the classroom and into that fresh air. So don't forget that. There's so many things that you can even print. We love our 10 frames. So these are things, just a variety of them that you don't have to stick with just the same one all the time. And of course, then we can put our little ducks in the hay and for a good night's sleep. So you can use what your children have on hand. These are toys. So you could put their cars there. They could put money. They could put buttons. They could put little grapes, M&Ms, whatever you have that interests them that day. So a 10 frame, every parent needs to have one of these. Every student needs to have one of number line, and they need 100 charts. And my advice on that is take the time to put these in page protectors. Then that way they can take a dry erase marker and actually draw on them, and they'll erase very nice. And then double that, page protector, it can now go in the math binder and keep organized very well. So the last thing to reminder on our math toolbox is we need things that teach fractions. So again, you can print these out or pick them up at the dollar store of just a reminder of how fractions work. But I think fractions work best when taught with a hot pizza or a freshly baked pie. And those Hershey bars sections are pretty handy too. So don't just always stick with paper. So I hope these math things can be useful for you, and I know you can adapt them to help your child, because that's the beauty of educating and being involved as a parent and as a teacher, to adjust to what fits your child best. Thank you.